What's up, guys? It's Migs with Market Open. Let's go ahead and do the Market Open recap this morning. Ended up flat, basically, up like 30 bucks, just enough to cover commissions. 50% hit percentage, although my winner on SIG was relatively bigger, but just the short I took on SQ was not very big. So let's go ahead and I'll walk you guys through the trades I took this morning. WMT was the first trade this morning. I'll put up the SPY down here on the bottom left. Okay, so WMT was the first trade I took this morning. It was gapping up. It had some news about opening up a bunch of stores or online shipment or something like that. So I took basically an opening range breakout on a 1-minute chart, which I've been noticing has not been working lately, and I've actually lost more money than I've made on it this week alone. So this might be something that I need to take off of my, I guess, toolbox for now, because it's just not working. So what I did is I went long over 88.75 here. So I went long 500 shares at 88.77. I got filled with my stop down here at 88.55, risking about 20 cents. That's why it was 500 shares. If you notice, it did actually initially go up, but for something like this, I at least want a 1-to-1 risk, or I mean 2-to-1, at least a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on this. So I got kicked out right at 88.53 as the market started turning around, and I got kicked out right here. So the market actually started heading lower during this time, and Walmart kind of followed. So that was my first loss. WMT lost 120 bucks. Now the next trade I took was on SQ. Now SQ did not work out whatsoever today. So took it right at 940. Probably this candle right here. Okay. Alright, so the initial entry would have been here during this candle, but I don't chase stocks, basically. I try my best not to chase. But I'm usually pretty good about things like that. So I waited for it to pull back to around the entry, and I actually got a better entry at 54.32 with my stop. I believe was going to be down here at 50. Actually, no, it was going to be at 54. That's right. So I got filled 200 shares, 54.32. I added right here as it broke up and over the 50s. So since I got a really good fill on it down here in the 30s, and my stop was only 30 cents away or so at the whole number 54. I went ahead and added some more shares, so I added at 54.53, 54.56. So I was long 400 shares there, and I actually ended up getting kicked out. So as you can see on here, let me remove this. So as you can see on here, it just kind of bounced back and forth. It made a lower high, and then it just failed. So on the 1-minute chart, got kicked out. Got filled right at 53.90. So I was probably down like 150 or so. I don't even remember. And so the next trade I took, so it's 2 trades that went south basically. So I was down almost the $300, which I would have had to have stopped. So then I got into SIG. Let me just make sure that this was it. Out. Oh, actually, hold on a second. So I got back in SQ at a 54.50. So I was thinking that if it was going to continue, that was going to be my stop. So I bought smaller shares. So this is a flag, basically, right here. This was a flag. The entry was the next candle to make a new high. So right here at 54.51, I really should have gotten in right here at 54.44, and my stop should have been here. So I ended up getting in, and it actually came right back down. So I got kicked out of SQ twice, but during that time I got into SIG. So during that time I had surpassed my $300 loss limit, but I was also, as soon as I got into SQ, I saw a perfect setup on SIG, which was my main candidate for a short that morning. So this flag was completely justifiable. You pull back to the 9 in VWAP, and next candle make a new high is your entry. So even if it didn't work out, this is a trade that I would take every single day. So there's nothing that I per se did wrong on this. It's just that's just how it worked out during that today's market. So let's go back to the next trade on SIG. Now SIG gap down pretty well. So 47 down to 43, and it has a pretty clean daily chart. So what I mean by that is that there is absolutely no support on this thing. There's no support. The moving averages are up here. This thing is just basically just falling out of the sky, and there's nothing to catch it. So this was my main candidate for the short. Unfortunately, as soon as we opened up, it actually ended up selling off. So as you can see on here, sold off. It pulled up a little bit and just went again. So this wasn't enough of a pullback for me to be able to get into it. Actually, hold on a second. Let me see on the 1 minute. Still had it in the 1 minute. Boom, right here. So right here, to me, this wasn't enough of a pullback. But when I actually ended up looking at the 5 minute, it actually ended up pulling up right to the 9 in VWAP. So that's my VWAP rejection trade that I do a lot. So I didn't lean into it as heavy as I would have liked because I usually like 3-ish candles. So I had risked $100 on this, and I went short right here at the 41. Let's see, I got filled at 41.25, unfortunately, because this candle just ripped down. 300 shares. So I got filled down here. So I got filled down here, and my stop was going to be up here, 41.77 or so. So as you can tell, it just faded off. So SIG, I covered at 40.56, so I covered down here, covered 225, and then another 75 shares at 40.15. So down here. Now, I needed basically another pullback for me to be able to get into this thing. So right in this area. This trade actually took a very long time. So I ended up making about $200 on SIG on that trade, and then I saw it pull back up, so 1, 2, 3, and then this fourth candle was red, and it was being supported right here at the whole number. So what did I do? I got short right at the whole number with a stop over 40.45. So talk about my SQ trade here in a second, my second SQ trade. Let's see here. SQ short. Right, I got filled at SQ 53.95, and then actually no, that's SQ. Sorry, let's see here. SIG. Here we go. SIG. 39.92 is where I got filled. So 39.92, I got filled down here. It kind of consolidated for a while, and then it started to pick a direction. And as it did pick a direction, I actually shorted another 100 shares at 39.62. So I was short 400 shares. 300. Sorry, so I was short 300 shares of SIG. And as it started picking a direction and coming down, I added, and I put my stop here over 40.10. So it started selling off, and my initial target was actually going to be 39.16, but I started covering around the 39.33 area, 39.27, and then as it came back up, I said, okay, 39.35 was going to be my stop, and this candle right here kicked me out. So I ended up making another $180 on that. And let's see here. Let's talk about my scalp trade on SQ. I noticed that the market was actually starting to tank. Let's see here. And SQ was just not going my way. Boop, right there. So this is basically what I saw. After I had gotten kicked out of SQ for the second time, typically I wouldn't trade it. I mean, I really shouldn't have. This was kind of a spare the moment thing. So I saw it, and this is a wedge. I've talked about this many a times. It's building up momentum, and then it's either going to break up or break down. So it obviously was not breaking on the upside. So I was thinking if it broke under 54, I needed to get short. So what I did is I got short right at 10.18. as it broke under 54. Was it? Nope, nope, nope. SQ 1057. There we go. Yeah, so at 1057, right here in this candle, as it broke under 54, I got filled right at 53.95. And my goal was going to be to try to at least do 50 cents. But there was the previous high on this. The previous high on this was this 53.75. And to me, it just kind of seemed like it was just bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. And it kind of just sketched me out, so I got out. But as you can see, it actually ended up working out and going lower and lower. But this is counter trend trade is not something that you want to stick with to try and get 2 to 1. For me, typically, I don't try to get 2 to 1 out of it because always the trend is your friend. So if you're going counter trend, it should be more of a scalp situation. I could have gotten 1 to 1 on this, but I just didn't stick with it. It was meant to be more of a scalp, honestly. So I ended up getting $45 out of it. And that was it for the day. The last trade I took was the last cover on SIG, which I got kicked out. I held that one for probably over an hour. I ended up getting in at what? Let's see here, SIG. I ended up shorting it at 11. I got kicked out the last piece at 12:33. So yeah, so I held that for about an hour. So did okay. I mean, better than yesterday. It's I was trying to go against the grain. So if you notice, the market was basically headed down most of the day, and both of the longs that I went, actually all three of the longs that I went on were complete disaster. So WMT went south with the market, SQ went south with the market. So if I would have just stuck with the shorts, I would have just had some of these, would have been up over $400. But right off the bat, just the continuation play for the news on Walmart looked really good, so I went ahead and took it. So, but that is definitely something I need to take into consideration now that the 1 minute ORBs, like the opening range breakouts, are not working on the 1 minute. So I'm gonna try to take those out of my repertoire so I stop losing money. I could have prevented this loss on WMT. The SQ trade I don't really regret because it was a perfect flag. It's just the market was going the wrong way. Either way, live to fight another day. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to put it down in the comment section below. Also, if you guys have not joined our Facebook group, make sure to do that. SIG, WMT, UAL, SQ, all that was on the watch list that I put out this morning. And that's I put my watch list out basically every single morning for you guys to be able to profit off of. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.